It wasn't as cohesive as I would have enjoyed that movie, GB. And he's like, you didn't have 2 hours to watch a movie in a row? No. No, I did not have that at all. Even if we did have 2 hours to watch a movie, we would spend 90 minutes of that fighting about what we're about to watch. Which is insane to me, because I don't know if you know this, I don't want to brag, there's other televisions in the house. Why are we doing this? Listen, why are we sleeping in the same bed? Does anyone... That's a valid question. Let me ask you, is it possible for me to love my wife and also want to get a good night's sleep? Are those two things intertwined in some way, or can they be separated? I still don't understand the logic of why we're in the same bed. I don't know about you guys, but for me, sleep is a solo endeavor. I've never once been like, hey, I'm thinking about taking a nap. Would you like to join me? Hold on, are you talking about sex? No, I'm super exhausted. I'm talking about napping. What I'd like is if you could just lay next to me and then toss and turn a little bit, breathe deep, just move every now and then, just so it's impossible for me to reach REM. Is that something that could be arranged?
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're watching the Parents Lounge. And if you're not, you're a dadgum communist. You're done.
We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the Parents Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents Lounge is the cure to staying sane. We are back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, what is this show called?
The Parents Lounge.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Jason, how are you? Jamie Kaler, as always, joined by my partner, Jason Gowin. It reminds me, every time I hear that, I keep saying, it's like, I'm one of those guys, it's good enough. Like, I did it. It's so honest. But literally, when we put that up, that was just a temp track. Because I'm supposed to meet up with my friend who's going to professionally record it, and we're going to get this crazy sound system thing going. Shane Roberts, our dad of triplets, who we have to have back.
It's time, yeah. We need a triplet check-in.
We need a triple check-in at some point. Maybe we should see if we got a big show tonight. But yes, every time I hear me go up to the other, in the back, I'm like, oh, I got to hit that note. Dude, I don't know about you, but I've been torturing my children by, they won't get up. They just will not get up in the morning. So I've become that dad who's like, it's time to get up. And they're like putting the pillow over their head. And I'm like, it's a Tuesday for breakfast. We're doing it. And they're just like, they're telling me to shut up. I did. I sing all morning.
You are the only other father I've ever heard of. I do it just like Bill Murray used to with the SNL sketch.
Star Wars, now
it's nap time. Soon it will be time for your nap. Yep, my kids
are hating. Actually, and all of a sudden, they kind of got me back because I was doing it like every morning this week. I go, it's time to get up. And finally, Hannah started singing back. And then Claire has this like dog whistle thing she can do, like, ee! Where you're like, psh! So they kind of, even though I thought I had them, they got me in the end.
Oh, that's rough, my friend.
So
my son yesterday looked at me and asked me, "How many chins do most people have?" And I said, "Well, it depends. Mostly one." He goes, "Why do you have 4?" I'm like,
how many?
ouch, my friend.
How many fists do most children have? Only 2? Because you're about to have 4, buddy. Hey, we have a heck of a show tonight, and I don't want to do too much at the top because we got to get right to this guy. So for those of you who just tuned in, that top clip was from my new album, Homeschool, that came out on Friday. I'm so proud of it and thankful for all everyone out there who's watching who helped share it or bought a copy of it. Or it was crazy. It jumped to number 7 over the weekend. It was Bo Burnham, who I think is just an absolute genius. If you haven't seen his Bo Burnham special, Inside, on Netflix, I've watched it like 4 times. It's one of my favorite musical comedy things I've ever seen. 2 Norm Macdonald albums, God rest his soul, one of the greatest comics of all time. 2 John Mulaney albums, who's just all over the news because he got divorced and impregnated Olivia Munn. And then Eddie Izzard has an absolutely new album out, who we've talked about Eddie Izzard before. I'm a huge, monstrous fan of Eddie Izzard when he talks about the history of England, where he's like, well, this is our land. He goes, well, you don't have a flag, when he plants the flag. Like, great. And then it was number 7. And so I grabbed a screen grab and I posted it, and people were, and I was like, I was shocked. So thank you to everybody who kind of reached out. It was a crazy year, as most of you know, because we've been doing this show for a while during the pandemic. And I feel like I really encapsulated the tragedy plus time aspect of the show. So thanks to everyone out there.
Yeah, and dude, it really is super funny.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Funny. Well, here's another big thing about tonight's show is the fact that the gentleman who is our guest helped produce the album. It's through Get Her Done Records. I'm super proud to be associated with him. He's the nicest person. I used to tour with him. He's like a multi-platinum. I think he might have won a Grammy too. I don't know, but he's like, and he's the voice of Mater. He's like literally one of the biggest.
Once you hit the Disney iconic Pixar voice thing, you can't really go any higher up.
No, and we talked to him about that. So, I mean, without further ado, is there anything we need to do to set this up?
Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome to the show Mr. Larry the Cable Guy.
Let me ask you this. You talk about your kids, and she gave your kids a ride, because the whole point of the show is the Parents Lounge. It's all about raising kids. Are your kids living at a different level? Do they understand how rare it is to go for a ride with Danica Patrick?
You know what? I don't think they're going to really realize it till they get older, because my kids toured with me in a tour bus.
Yeah.
So, that my little boy was born in 2006. That's when the first Cars movie came out. So ever since they were little, it just, I think they think it's normal. Like, they've walked 5 red carpets. They've hung out with all the characters, all the people from the Cars movies they'll show up at. I really don't think that they will get, until they're older, that I can't get to do that when we were kids. I wish I would have known what was happening. It's
right.
Kind of, Jamie, it's kind of like me and my career. When I look back on my career, I'll go, man, I literally had no idea this was this big. I had no idea. If I would have known that it was as big as it was, I would have enjoyed it better and kicked back and went, whoa, and just taken it all in. But I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I was just out on the road doing comedy going, man, these are some big shows. But I never knew all the other stuff that was going on. So I think it's kind of the same with my kids. I think they're just, it's so far, it's just been so normal a part of their life since they grew up in it on a tour bus that they think everybody does stuff like this. I think my kid, they were homeschooled too. So my boy just started a regular school, 9th grade. And somebody found out that I was his dad. And now he's super popular. And I think now he's beginning to realize, wow, people really think that stuff's cool. Because to him, it was just part of his life. I think he said something the other day. it's like I'm like the NASCAR guys. He's going to like a redneck school, so I think he said something about me and Michael Waltrip golfing together or something a while back, and some kid goes, "He golfs with Michael Waltrip," and to me, it's like, well, yeah. I've been a friend of Mike's for 25 years. That's like to me, but I think now that, and they thought that too, and now they're thinking, man, other people don't get to do stuff like this. So yeah, I think the older they get, they're starting to figure it out. But when they were kids, they didn't really think much of it,
Hey, Larry, this is my partner on the show, Jason.
What's up, Jason?
How are you?
Pretty good, man. Good to see you.
Good. Hey, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, heck yeah.
Really quick, in case you were worrying that you didn't enjoy it enough, the handful of times I was with you on the tour bus, I enjoyed it plenty. I really enjoyed. I was like, this is insane, dude.
Well, I enjoyed no, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. Let's just say I didn't realize what I was enjoying.
Well, we did a show. I think one of the shows in Arizona was like 12,000 people outdoors. It was one of the craziest things. I was like terrified. I was like, this is insane.
That was the outdoor one, right?
Yeah, it was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
I'll never forget when we had just started. When I just started we're selling tickets like crazy. I remember I had no clue what was going on, and this is right when it started. And Mike Smartack, the promoter, calls me up and he goes, "Dan, did they tell you about your ticket counts?" And we were booking arenas and outdoor festivals. And in my head, I'm like, this is stupid. We're going to embarrass ourselves, man. There's no freaking way, because I only had moved into like 1,500 seat theaters, and you're like, come on, man. And so in the back of my head, I'm going, I'm going to be so embarrassed. He goes, "Hey, Dan, have you heard about your ticket counts?" And I'm thinking, and I told him, I go, no, nobody said that. Are we having a hard time? He goes, "Hard time? You kidding me?" He goes, "Let's see, you just went on sale at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, and you're at 13,000. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And I literally, Jimmy, I'm like, "No, come on, you're kidding me." "No, not at all. You're at the Hershey Center in Pennsylvania, already sold out. They have it set for 12,000. It's already sold out, so we're going to add a second night." And I'm like going, this is insane.
It was insane, dude. I was there. I was a witness.
What went through your head at that point? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, I was like giddy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And then I'm thinking, okay, it's just kind of like, well, this is awesome. I was kind of nervous because I'd never done an arena before. And so the first couple of arena shows, I was so nervous. But once I got the first couple of jokes out, it was like old hat. You just played for the front of the stage, the people you could see, let everybody else follow along. Then after about the first 15 shows, you're like, it's a piece of cake. And it was just fun. Then you're just like, you hang out. We hung out, we had the buses. It was like a big convoy. We had a whole thing set up outside. We were playing baseball, basketball, watching football games. About 6 o'clock, got a meet and greet in half an hour. All right. I go in, put on my hat and a sleeveless shirt, same pair of jeans, walk in, do a meet and greet, go back out to the bus, watch some of the football game. They'd holler from the back, "Larry, you got 5 minutes." All right. I'd run in there, grab my guitar, run in there, walk on stage, do 75 minutes, walk off, pop a dip in, change, sit down, watch football.
All for telling a bunch of dick jokes. It's the best job on earth, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm so blessed. But it's like when I look back on those days, I'm like, man, I really wish I knew what was happening to me at the time, because I was just a comedian like everybody else, and all of a sudden just boom. And so I didn't really, it was fun. I wish I would have, it's kind of like Steve Martin's book. And it was funny because he had his date book up there. He printed his date book of all the arenas that he was playing and showing how it exploded. And he wasn't ready for it. He didn't really think this was happening. And it was the same places that I played, the exact same places.
I read that book. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said there was anything that he wished he would have done more. He would have kicked back more and enjoyed just taking it in and enjoyed those stand-up career doing those things. And so what I did was, after I read that, and of course now I'm already, 8 years in. I remember sitting with Brad Paisley. We're having a cigar on the deck of my hotel room, and after at a Cars premiere, and we were talking about that. And he said, "Yeah, you know what we do? We do the same thing. I want to enjoy it. So when I'm done with the concert, me and the boys walk back in the arena. We go the way to the top where there's nobody at. We have a cigar, and we watch them break down the stage and just talk about the night and how we've been blessed." And I said, that is a great idea. So after we got done, right afterwards, we'd change, we'd walk in, and me and my opening act, my tour manager, we would sit in the bleachers up top. We didn't smoke cigar. We had a dip. We just sat there dipping in bottles, watching them tear the stage apart, just being so thankful. So yeah, it's crazy times.
Larry, it's so funny because like other people who've reached that level, you struck a chord, and around the country. And I was thinking about it lately because especially your son's in 9th grade now. And I think that your act and a lot of the joy of it all takes us back to that simpler time in life. And do you remember being in high school? I mean, did you play sports? Weren't you a baseball player back in the day?
Oh yeah, man. I love sports. I'm a huge sports fan. The Atlanta Braves are my favorite team. I've been a Braves fan since I was 12 years old. That's a long time ago, 1975. But yeah, I love sports. I love baseball. My 2 favorite times a year are opening day of college football and opening day baseball. Those are my 2 favorite times a year. So yeah, I'm a huge sports fan.
What were you like in high school? Were you the big jock, or were you the class clown? Or I just think because my kids this was their first week of school. I just dropped them off. My daughter's in 3rd grade and the other one's in 1st. And it's so different. I'm looking at kids on campus. They all have their social media. It's just a different world. Right. And I just think back to the simpler times of when we were kids. And I don't want to be that old guy who's like, get off my lawn, but I just feel like it was so much easier to raise kids back then.
Well, it absolutely was. And here's the thing about social media. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people that use social media. And so it's really dampened our kids being kids. When we were kids, we were allowed to be a kid. Yeah. You could make a mistake or you could say something stupid. You could, because you're a kid, you're learning. You're learning what things not to say, what things not to do, and you learn. And nobody was hurt by anything. It just, hey, you can't say that. You move on. But nowadays, in our uptight, hypocritical society, I should say, where some get punished and some don't, we're not allowing our kids to be kids, and we're infiltrating our kids and shoving a bunch of bullshit down their heads that they shouldn't be looking at or learning about when they're in 4th and 5th grade. And it seriously, and it's just ridiculous. And I'm with you, Jamie. It seemed like, and it wasn't really simpler times. There was a lot of problems going on in the world when we were kids. There were things happening, but it just seemed like but the good news about it, you were able to be a kid. You were able to grow up. You were able to make mistakes. Nowadays, with social media, you can't make a mistake. You make one mistake, and you want to get a good job, they're going to go back at something you said when you were in 4th grade, and you're going to ruin your entire career.
That's right. The guy from Jeopardy just got canceled. Yeah. Well, talking about what people say on the internet, Jason has some things that people have said about you on the internet. Larry,
okay, so I've got a few things.
Let's see your response to these.
So I told people, that you were going to be on the show, and all of a sudden, all of these women started flocking and swooning, and I went down the rabbit hole, and I was like, you know what? Obviously, there's something here. So I dug up a couple of things, and I'd just like to pick your brain on what it's like to be a sex symbol in this day and age. Here we got Emily Petrie. It's weird to say that I think Larry the Cable Guy is sexy. Well, if not, I think he is drop dead sexy.
That's my daughter, Emily.
She's your social media?
Hey, man, it's my firm muscular buttocks and my Dolph Lundgren looking square jaw.
I got a little bit of that too.
Sometimes women like fat guys. They like fat guys that are funny, that are outgoing and fun to be around.
That's how I got married. Let's see another one, Jason.
Okay, so we got Mame Music is Larry the Cable Guy is sexy, but this one's got a smile face, and I feel like that might be a little on the kinky side.
And it's from a mom, so I think she's thinking you're a DILF.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I'm glad I'm married. I'm glad that I have kids, and I'm glad that this whole thing that people get to send you messages from everywhere and Twitter pictures. I'm glad that didn't come along when I was single and could have cared less about anything, because I'll be honest with you, I would have probably been direct messaging a lot of people.
A lot of comics did that. Let's see one more. Let's see what Jake
One more. This is my favorite one. I think Bill Engvall, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron White, and Jeff Foxworthy are sexy as hell. And Larry is definitely a bear worth drooling.
Too bad that girl's name was Mike. Oh my God!
Ask me this about, because honestly, I want to go back because we're talking about a previous time in high school.
By the way, let me just thank those ladies. I do appreciate the flattery. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and I think Jake is going to really enjoy the flattery that you give him. In high school, were you? I mean, I'm interested because we know so much about you. Obviously, dude, my friends, I told them you were going to be on. They went to Disneyland the other day, and I'm like, oh, that's right. 100 years from now, you're still going to be that tow truck.
You're Mater for life.
You're ever, brother.
I know.
Forever. Like, it's a big deal.
I know. It's so crazy. I'm so thankful. I got to tell you, it's nuts. I was just doing, like I said, I was just doing the last interview with Danica Patrick, and we'd run into each other a bunch of times and never really got to talk. So it was cool. But she asked me the same thing. She goes, how cool is it that you're the voice of and why was that so special to me? And I'll tell you why. Not only is because I have kids now, but when I had kids, it kind of changed my act to the point where I'm not single and don't have a wife and I can make up things and say anything and create this alternate life with this character. But once I had kids, I didn't, there were certain, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about my kids and my family and trying to raise a good family. So I started thinking there's certain jokes that I wouldn't do. Let's put it that way. There's certain jokes that I would write. Like, I better not do that. I got kids now. That wouldn't be good. There's certain jokes that I do. I got a wife now that I love. I don't want to disrespect my wife. That's not a good joke. So it changed. It was wife and kids changed my act in that manner. But what it did was it was gearing me up for the movie Cars, because not only did I get the movie Cars, but it brought in a whole new audience. Yeah. And since I had already started working on changing the act a little bit to be more, I wouldn't say kid friendly, but more PG 14, 13. It just, it was really cool that it all just kind of started tying together, kind of like Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy got to that point where he had kids, and now he wanted to do movies for his kids and have movies that his kids could see. And he just started evolving into the Disney guy. That's kind of like what started with me before I even had kids. I just started taking a different turn because I had kids. And then along came Disney. But it was just so cool because I remember doing that character for the first time on stage in 1989. And it was literally a 2-minute bit. And it was a character. I was working on a couple of characters. And that was one of the characters. So to think about, I can still remember going on stage and saying those first words, hey, did you order cable? Well, somebody ordered something. From that moment, for it all to culminate into the reason of I got that part was because John Lasseter loved the voice and he loved the character because it fit that truck. So I would have never known. Who would have known? Right when I thought of that, that culminated into me getting Mater from Cars, which is, you're right, is going to be there forever. It's a theme park. It was just really cool satisfaction to see something that I created come to that. It's kind of neat.
Have you been to the parks? I mean, since then, like when you hear Mater, I mean, it's you, but it's also, I mean, Mater's this iconic Pixar character. What's that like for you, like hearing him when you go out?
Oh, it's surreal. I mean, it still is. I'll never get used to it. I mean, it is just really cool. And I remember voicing all that. I mean, I do all of it. I do the toys, the games, the theme park. I do everything. I didn't want anybody else to do Mater because I'm Mater. I know nobody else is Mater. I'm Mater. So except for when they do it in other countries, and then you got the Mexican Mater and the French Mater, and, which is
Mexican
really
Maters now. What's
which
he sound?
is really funny. Oh, donde McQueen? That's the it's hilarious.
That's pretty good.
It's so funny, but it's just cool. And yes, I've been to the theme park. We had the premiere of the theme park, and it was really cool because they were testing all the rides to make sure they worked. And so we did the Junkyard Jamboree about 40 times, and I remember they let us stay on the Radiator Springs Racers as long as we wanted because they had to run them. And so I think me and my wife and kids stayed on for, it was well over 20 times.
Hilarious.
That's my dream.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Hey, now that everyone's cutting the cord for cable, are you gonna kind of move into the next place and be Larry the streaming guy?
You know what's really funny about that, and I don't know why they don't do it, because I think this is probably why, because they think I'm I don't know. We've entered an age and time that is so crazy with advertising. I don't know what they're thinking, but DirecTV, we have tried so many times to tell them, you guys are missing the boat. Larry the Cable Guy should be the DirecTV spokesman. How cool would it be to go, I'm Larry the Cable Guy, and I have switched to DirecTV. And I do a tour as Larry the DirecTV Guy.
I mean,
why have they not done
and
it?
they said no? That's insane.
Because they're freaking morons. Because because they're targeting. I don't know why they target everybody that doesn't have cable, that has all streaming services. The people that still have DirecTV and watch DirecTV is anybody, 45 and up, 40 and up. Anybody 40 and under is doing apps and streaming and all that. But people in my age group, people that actually like pay their bills on time, shall I say? Except for Jamie,
I don't understand the concept.
And Jason. But no, you would think that would be the perfect target audience to get DirecTV. Nobody watches I mean, nobody 40 and under is watching cable TV.
Did you watch the Little League World Series? They handed the kids an old rotary phone, and the kids they didn't know how to use it. The kid didn't know how to turn the thing. I mean, it was like it's over.
It's
like,
so ridiculous. But we have pitched that so many times. Larry the Cable Guy has switched to DirecTV. That would be a popular commercial. It would be a funny commercial, and they would sell some packages.
It's a missed boat by them.
It is a missed boat.
Crazy, man.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back with him, right? We have
more of the rest of the interview in just a little bit, but we're gonna check in with one of his friends and yours, and also now mine.
Since we had Larry on, we talked to our good friend Bill Engvall, and we've been doing this recurring bit because Bill is a grandfather now, and he's a minister. Like he's reached this point in his life where he has such soothing knowledge that when we spoke to him during the pandemic, he would just go, "It's all going to be good, man." He talk you off the cliff. It's going to be all right, Jamie. Everything's going to fall into place. And we were like, dude, you need to come on the show and share some of this calming wisdom with everybody else. So we'll be back to Larry the Cable Guy with the rest of his interview. But before that, Jason, why don't you bring us to Bill?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Engvall.
Greg G from Sacramento asks, my kid is a real jerk. Can I return him and get another?
Unfortunately, no, you can't. But there is not a parent in the world that hadn't had your exact same thought. But I got to be honest with you. As soon as they come out of the womb, they depreciate by a good 75%. It's kind of like driving your car off the lot. You're not going to get your money back. Let me just put it that way. And yeah, what do you got to choose from? And here's the sad thing. What if you traded your kid in, you had another one, this kid was a bigger jerk than the other one? Now you got to look inside and go, maybe the genetics are messed up. Maybe you're a jerk. Let's face it, two ugly people aren't going to have a beautiful baby. That's all I'm saying. It's, I guess I would just say, try to reason with them, find out why they're being such a jerk. As I've said often before, if you listen, your kids will tell you everything you need to know, but yeah, you can't trade them in. It's better just to sell them on the open market. Really, you're going to get a better call. Your money, it's like your car. You take your car in for a trade-in, they give you a third of what it's worth. So I would, and then you got the whole children's services on you. Yeah, I would just say you're better off trying to just talk to your kid, and if it keeps being that, then maybe let him see a shrink. And
then maybe with the next kid, don't even buy, just lease. Like a 3-year lease.
Yeah, a lot of people just lease.
And turn it in. 3 years and turn it in.
Do you find the leasing of the two kids is a better option?
Depends on the make and model. If you got a smoking hot 18-year-old daughter, necessarily people can put up with a lot of jerkiness there, but
yeah,
I think probably leasing would be an option, but it's obviously for this gentleman that option is passed because you can't go get you can't get a sublease. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's a different. I mean, with the next kids, you might even want to just find that make and model and just rent it for a couple days, for a weekend and drive the PCH with it and see if it works for you.
Let me take it for a test drive.
Exactly. Now,
I wish I'd known this when the twins were born.
They actually do. They should have. They should. Before you're allowed to have a kid, you should have to test drive another child for like a month. And then people would come back and go, dude, not for me. I looked at it. I'm going to take the bus. I feel like that a lot of people.
Jason, the good thing, you live in Los Angeles, right, Jason?
No, I'm near Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, perfect. Well, you ought to check in to see if Pennsylvania has a lemon law.
I think they do.
I think they do. I think for 3 days.
Very seriously approach them and say, hey, does that apply to children? And see what they say.
Yeah.
You might want to alert your wife you're going to do that, just so when you don't come home, she'll kind of know where to look for you.
Yeah, exactly. Just come back. Ask you this. I have been basically teaching my kids to take a joke. Like my kids and I rib each other all the time. Can your kids take a joke? And is that something that you think if we could just teach the next generation to just not care what other people say and go just laugh at it? Like my daughter came home and she said, "Oh, they picked on me for my hair." I go, "What do you care? What do you care what that kid says about it? Just laugh at it and move on."
My kids have a great sense of humor, and I told my kids, there's people are gonna say things, just laugh it off. There's nothing a bully or somebody trying to torment you with words hates worse than somebody just laughing it off and moving on, because it digs at them because they can't get at you. So laugh it off, man. A good sense of humor. And then I told them, if that doesn't work, knife them.
That's it. Those are the 2 lessons of life. You need to know, dude.
That's all you need.
Laugh it off or just take a knife and cut them. I mean, what else do you think? Those are
your
your 2
That's all you got. That's the same thing I told my daughters. That's amazing. That's
I feel like Hannah might actually stab somebody, though.
Hannah's actually she terrifies other kids. Hey, let me ask you what's really important.
Hey, that's like my daughter, man. I'm not worried about that at all because she will kick the living crap out of somebody. My daughter's tougher than I am.
Well, I mean, both of our wives are tougher than us. All of our
Oh
wives.
my gosh. Well, my daughter is in dance and she's built like a volleyball player. So she doesn't have an ounce of fat on her. And she's 12 and holy mackerel. She looks like she's a freshman in college. But she'll do these kicks, like these karate kicks, just to torment her brother because he can't do them. And she will just get up on her leg and her other leg will be straight up in the air. And then she'll just start kicking like that. And then all of a sudden she'll do a full 360 and punch her leg out. I mean, that girl, she's got some moves.
That's amazing, man.
And your
your
son is older?
What? My boy's older. He can't do none of that.
All right, but we're going to wrap it up here really quick. First of all, I want to tell people about your Get Her Done Foundation, which does a lot of great stuff. Which brings us to, how's your golf game?
Man, my golf game is getting better. It's getting better. I went from being the only guy to appear on Golf Channel and Court TV on the same day after a golf tournament. I'm down, Jamie. I'm down to a index of a 9 and a 12 handicap.
Dude.
Yeah.
We're playing. When are we playing?
I've gotten a lot better. I played yesterday. I shot an 82 yesterday.
Holy cow, dude. We got to play.
So, yeah, definitely. I love it.
Tell about your foundation really quick, because I know you do the crazy tournament. You have all these giant celebs flying in, and you're raising money for an amazing cause. And
we have a great tournament, the Get Her Done Foundation golf tournament. And I want to thank all the people that helped me. I just have a great bunch of folks. The guys from REO Speedwagon come in. I had Jason Shep from Chicago. I had the guys from Rascal Flats. And then as far as players go, Jim McMahon, Joe Theismann, oh my gosh, Brad Penny, David Wells, man, I know I'm forgetting a ton of Kevin Millar.
This is insane. Yeah.
Kevin Millar. There's just a big list of Hall of Famers and guys that help me out. But it's just the Get Her Done Foundation goes to veterans and kids charities. And we pick those. The big donors, of course, have been the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital and the Madonna Rehabilitation Center, Lincoln, Nebraska, Orlando, Florida. But you can check it out. It's called GetHerDoneFoundation.org. We do a ton of really cool stuff. I couldn't do any of it without fans. It takes money to start a foundation. And thanks to all the people that enjoyed my stuff and like to laugh, we were able to start something like that. So it's really cool. That's the cool thing about rising to a certain level in your business. You're able to do things and help people, give back to people. I remember when I was a kid at Christmas time, I always wanted to give people something for Christmas because it was fun to give people presents. But I was a kid, so I would just walk around the house and I'd find stuff in the house and I'd wrap it up and put everybody's name on it so they could have stuff. My mom was like, "Oh man, salt and pepper shakers from the kitchen. This is awesome."
You could be that secret Santa guy who just walks around like at Walmart and just passes out $100 bills.
Absolutely. So it's fun to be able to make people's days, and that's just part of it, and that's what makes America great. That's why if you want to be a celebrity and you want to, this is the best country to do it. If you work hard enough and get the breaks, and man, you can make really good money, and the sky's the limit, and then you give back. We're the most charitable country in the world. And so, yeah.
I love what you do for all those guys, man. I mean, all the vets and stuff. I do a ton myself, being a former lieutenant.
You really do, and we appreciate your service, Jamie.
And I see what you do for it, and you're right about giving it back. So it's pretty amazing. Jason, any final words for Larry before we?
No, I just, I'm a huge Pixar fan. So thank you for creating such iconic characters that. For me and my kids, we watch those movies together, and it's fantastic that you're able to, be part of that experience.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. It's really fun, and you ought to see these kids. Like, the parents know who I am, and And some of the kids, they'll go, you know who that is? That's the guy that does Mater. And they'll kind of look at me, and then I'll go, woo-hoo, boy, I tell you what, I'm happier than a tornado. You ought to see their faces. That's all I got to do is go, woo-hoo, my queen. Boy, their faces just light up.
That's amazing. Hey, and huge thanks for me. You, first of all, touring with you was like a huge boost to go out and do shows and learn how to be a comic. Thanks. And then you helped me put out my first album, Happy Father Days, and you're helping me put out my second album on Get Her Done Records, and it's going to play on your Sirius XM channel here in a few weeks.
That's right, Jay. Hey, I'm happy to have you too, man. I've known you forever. You're a super funny guy, and that's what my record label's for, man. I want to put funny guys on there that people need to hear. So we'll put you on the label, get you on Sirius, and you know, people, I mean, you're a funny guy. I mean, funny stuff. And the album's great. The first album was fantastic. And I can't wait for the second one. And,
I'll see you in a couple of weeks with it. Yeah, it's called Homeschooled, and it's all about the year I homeschooled my kids during a global pandemic. Got some funny stuff.
Man. Yeah, there's good stuff on there. I'll tell you that.
I'll see you in a few weeks. Hey, listen, I don't want to hold you up. Huge thanks to Larry the Cable Guy for joining us at the Parents Lounge. And we'll see you soon, brother. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, and get her done.
Wow.
He's such a good guy. It's crazy. I mean, I could tell stories, and I have many times about traveling on the road. Like I was baptized, you know, just like I really wasn't even doing that much stand-up. And then they were like, hey, there's 12,000 people. Go do 20 minutes. And I was like, my heart was like, it was intense, man. And I learned it like a monologue because you can't, you're playing to the back of the house. You can't talk to the crowd because you can't hear them. And some of the shows, I mean, I would hear myself 2 seconds after. And so you'd hear your own echo. It was super.
That's got to be jarring.
It was jarring, but the great thing about Larry and Jeff and Bill and Ron is that the fans, nobody shows up late. They paid hard-earned money to go have a fantastic night, and they do just that. And so the show started at 8. Everybody was in their seat at 8. And I would go on, do 20 minutes, and did the mustache fall off? No, that came up. So I mean, it went into
a cocoon, and it will be out as a butterfly soon.
Yeah. And they were just so great. And so it's kind of come full circle now. I don't tour with them anymore. I'm doing other stuff. My friend Nick Hoff, if you see Larry live now, it's usually Nick Hoff, a buddy of mine who tours with him, has been on this show, and it's fantastic. And it's all in the family, but it's kind of cool. I did his Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup on Sirius XM last Friday, the day my album came out. And then he played my album in its entirety on the Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup show. So
that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was crazy great. And so it popped to number 7 over the weekend, and it was nuts and stuff. So
it also blew up your media this weekend, blew up our iTunes. We had a fluctuation of new viewers and new fans. So if you're tuning in for the first time, hello and welcome.
Yeah. Well, I talked about the album a lot, and I've gotten emotional about it because it was so many people had amazing pandemics, and so many people had even worse pandemics than me. But it was not a great time in history to have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old being trapped in a house for a year. It was gruesome, especially for a guy in like his mid-50s who's not used to. I was on a TV show. I'm not used to like, will you pick it up like all day, every day. So almost canceled recording it. I was having a meltdown, like unbelievable.
I recall.
Super emotional. And what's great is all the guys from the Dadlands group and you and I ran it for everybody, and everybody said you have to record that. It's really strong. And I hadn't really toured it because nobody could tour. And now that it's out, I have this unbelievable honor, that Larry put it out, and that I did this thing. It was really, sometimes in your life you actually, force yourself to do something, and then you sit and you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did it. I was pretty proud of the whole situation. So yeah,
dude, I gotta tell you, it was such an interesting process because you and I met you had already kind of written it. And I got to watch it form. And when I when I listened to the whole album and like knowing where it started and how you got there, dude, I was so excited for you because it really is smooth as butter. It's a
Thanks,
great,
man.
it's a funny time. Anybody who hasn't heard his new album, please do yourself a favor. It's gold. It's comedy gold.
It's called Homeschool, Jamie Kaler. It's on iTunes. And if you are anywhere near Sayre, Pennsylvania this weekend, you can come listen to a good hunk of it live because Jason and I are doing our very first Parents Lounge live show. This has kind of taken off this year since we haven't been doing the show very long. And all of a sudden we're doing live shows. So it's been super cool. And I'm so excited. I'm getting on a plane to this weekend to come see
3 days,
you.
yeah.
I'm coming to Pennsylvania, man, and I'm pretty stoked about it. So show's Friday, Saturday, and we have some amazing local sponsors who have helped us put the show on and stuff. So
yeah, people like those over at Choice 102 Radio, the Danny Mini Marts, all those, and Century 21, Jackson Realty really came together to make this show possible. So Jamie and I are going to be live on the stage for the first time, Sayre, Pennsylvania, the 24th and 25th, 7 p.m. You're going to get to see a lot of the shenanigans from Mr. Kaler's Homeschooled album. You're going to get to hear some crazy stories from my adventures with my kids. And Jamie and I are going to do some stuff together. So it's going to be a fun time.
Susan's my buddy from New Hampshire, and she came out. A lot of my friends, I'm from Manchester, New Hampshire, and so a lot of friends came out, and it was so emotional. It was just great to see everybody. After being confined for so long, it's just nice that everyone's like back out trying for some normalcy and stuff. So we have the whiskey glasses, we have the wine glasses, we have shirts. We're coming. We're throwing a party, people. Come on out.
I mean, take a look at the whiskey glasses and the scotch glasses. I mean, those are going to be available exclusively at the live show. And
we'll have to put those up on the merch store soon too. Also, we should put a link. We don't even have it. I think maybe it's in the bottom, but we people have been hitting us up for all the crazy t-shirts we have. I have Selective Hearing, Ask Your Mom,
Ask Your Dad,
Dad AF. Yeah, so we're at kind of we've started putting that out. We're not very good at it, but we have a friend of ours who's kind of helping us put those up. We're also going to do live radio with our buddy Matt on the radio station around Pennsylvania Friday morning. So I don't think there's much else. That was a super fun show, and I was so thankful that Larry came and chatted. And it's so interesting to hear. I mean, he's a juggernaut, man.
We're now halfway through the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. We just got 2 left to go.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Actually, Jeff has said he'll come. I don't know. I've only did one show with Ron. I did it, and he was the nicest cat ever. I did it at Mandalay Bay. It was insane, packed, huge theater at Mandalay Bay. And God love Ron White. He walked out with a bucket of ice, bottle of like the best scotch you can get. Like it was like Macallan 25 or something. It was insane. And he just sipped it. And he told the greatest, hilarious stories and drank a bottle of scotch on stage in front of a theater full of people. And I sat and watched in wonder of like, hey, how can he do this every night? Like, this is insane what he's doing. But just casual, It's really amazing when you watch somebody like I'm always like trying to get through material, and he just sits back and lets it wash over. It's pretty great to see. So yeah,
all 4 of those guys were so unique and different, and they all 4 just crush.
It was kismet. I mean, there's a reason it blew up the way it did, and anytime anything blows up, whether it's Dane Cook or whoever becomes so famous, then all of a sudden everybody tries to knock them down once they get to the top, but. There's a reason people get to the top. And when those 4 dudes did that theater tour, I mean, it blew the F up, man. It just blew up. Yeah, it was insane. It was insane. So, all right, hey, listen, let's roll this thing. I'm going to go put some kids to bed.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a great time. Catch us every week live, 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific on Facebook.com/The Parents Lounge. YouTube.com/Jamie Kaler or Twitch.tv/The TPL Show. And every week our new audio drops on iTunes.
And next week we have a couple of moms. I think we have Kate Mulligan and Claire Kramer are coming back for a little roundtable. A little roundtable. All right, we love you all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Parents Lounge.